Whether you're a Class 5 rafter or just looking for a couple of laughs, these two have you covered. Welcome to Aaron and Zach's Better Than Mediocre Rafting Show.
It's 2 o'clock on Friday and time for Aaron and Zach's Better Than Mediocre Rafting Show. I'm Zach. That's Aaron. This is where we just talk about rafting stuff, things we're interested in. We try to take ourselves too seriously, but sometimes we talk about serious stuff, and maybe we will today. And again, we do this every Friday. And you can like, subscribe, do all the things. You can become a member. Barrett right here. Thank you, Barrett, for becoming a member. And a member just means you spend a few bucks a month to support the show. We have a savings account. We're going to save up and buy Aaron some cool jacket or something, or a poster to put behind him someday.
No, you're just going to buy more knives.
I might buy more knives. I have to buy one. Hold on. I have to buy one more knife. There's one more knife I have to buy.
There's always one more knife.
No. I think I'm done. I'm almost done. But you know how I love that $130 Spyderco knife?
Yeah.
Well, I knew this and I forgot though. There's a version of it called the Bird Cara. That's the same knife but lower end, a little bit lower quality. And so I'm buying that one. I'll do a review on that one. I'll show it to you, then I'll be done. No more knives. And then we'll buy you.
How much less expensive is it?
It's like $35. So it's way less expensive.
Wait, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And it's made by Spyderco.
It's really cool. Yeah, so they have a lower end version, their Bird series, which I forgot about. And some people keep reminding me. And I haven't ever used one. But I'm actually, it's being sent to me right now, so I'm gonna have it.
It's got a plastic plate on it. It's no. It goes from 135 to 35. I mean, it's you're gonna open up the package, it's gonna fall apart on you, and you're gonna tape it up before you
most river knives cost $30, so it's still.
I know, yeah.
It costs a knife. It's just Spyderco's a knife maker, so they can probably figure out how to make good quality knives at a low price. Maybe it's made in some other country, or who knows, whatever. Barrett, thanks for being a member. We appreciate it. It really does make us feel cool that for those of you that become a member, because it's you're paying us a few bucks and makes us feel like what we're doing is valuable. So thank you.
So Zach,
we have a lot to. Yeah.
Before we get into what we have to cover today, where are you right now?
I'm in Vegas. You know that.
Yeah, I am. But I think you're at the America Outdoors Conference, right? Where basically all the outfitters get together and you go to a bunch of different seminars and listen to this stuff. So it sounds like you're hanging with a bunch of people who never wanted to stop being river guides. So you must be partying hard and there must be a lot of alcohol.
I mean, it's a conference. So, a conference, it's you go to meetings all day, you sit there, and then at 5 o'clock, you want to let loose, and you go out, you drink too much, go eat a nice dinner, repeat. It's like any conference, I'm sure. I don't think river guides are any different than anybody else. And now we're all older, we're business owners, but it's also the gear manufacturers. So NRS is here, Highside's here, Sotar, people that support outfitting are all here. Air gave me this cool hat, so I'm wearing this Air hat. And so they're here to sell us equipment and show us the newest, coolest stuff. And so it's a chance to see people you don't see very often.
I'm going to say, cool. Zach, your voice sounds a little rough right now.
Okay, I know. I'm hungover. I admit it. All right, give me a break. I have been talking a lot.
Oh yeah, that's probably why it sounds rough. Yeah.
I'm essentially working 16, 17-hour days, and it's a lot of meetings where I listen, but it's so much networking and talking, and it's probably
And if you got a mask on, I feel like when I have a mask on, I talk. You have to talk way louder. It's actually a lot harder. It's you're almost
and you have to listen. It's harder to listen. Yeah, it's harder to hear. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thanks for sharing that. Anything that you thought was mind blowing that would be appropriate to share here?
Highside is starting to make some cool equipment.
Oh, really?
And they're starting to manufacture throw bags and thwart bags. And I saw some prototypes, and they're incredibly thoughtful. And they remind me of those ones made in Europe, the WWTC, the green ones, the WWTC ones. In my mind, they're not that good. I saw them, and they're the WWTC ones were the best I've ever seen. But there's a lot of that DNA. They've never seen those green ones. but they're getting to be that good. So, they're throw bags that are intelligently thought out. They're thinking about the rope types a lot. There's no, dangerous loops. The thwart bag is made to be a thwart bag that's also it's a thwart handle and a bag combined, and a way to attach a pump or paddles, and they're just really smartly made. So they're developing some cool products there. But the theme of the show is that if you want a raft for 2022, you're probably not going to get it. Like, all the raft manufacturers are pretty close to sold out. Their dealers will have some, so you may get some from a dealer here or there, but equipment in general is going to be hard to come by here real quick. And so that's they don't need new stuff because they're sold out. All the manufacturers are sold out of everything. And
totally. I got you. That's yeah. I mean, that's good for the companies to hear that, but yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But should we go through some? We've got a lot.
Yeah, we have great comments. Yeah, these. We have a lot to do today, so I'm going to go through some of these really quick. I like the Partner Steel one. That's the classic one. The one that just go to partnersteel.com, I think. And it's
do you like the bigger one
pan.
or the smaller one? The smaller elevated.
It depends if I'm on a big trip or a small trip.
Yeah, that little elevated one is pretty nice. Like the littler one, it's a pretty nice little size if you're a smaller group. And
if you just want to fire, but if you need to make steaks for 20 people,
yeah. If
you're going to grill steaks, it's not going to cut it.
No, if you want to grill steaks for 20 people, but if you want to grill steaks for like your 5 close friends, that little one's nice.
Yeah, for like an 8-person private trip, the little one's perfect. Yeah. And then there's another one. Can somebody put in the comments? There's one that we talked about before. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a square. They're like $35. They're not super durable, but they're pretty good. I'm a fan of those. I've used them. We've destroyed them commercially, so they're not really commercially viable, but they're really nice. And somebody here knows which one that is. I forget what it's called.
You know my two favorite fire pans ever is a metal trash can lid that we purchased for one trip. Okay. Yeah. And then those metal oil pans. Those metal, I think those are both great if you're just trying to look for something to make a fire on the ground, and you're trying to be good, but not like you're not like worried about regulations type of thing. So
that's the one, the fireside pop-up pit. That's the one I mentioned. That's sweet. It's not that expensive. It's on Amazon. I'll have it tomorrow. I think most people, the fireside, it's light. It's probably what most people need for things. And those oil tins are great, actually. Because the chicky pails fit on top of that, so you can store at the bottom of the chicky pail bag. It's super efficient. You can have a fire in it. It's not elevated, but you can have a fire, and it's DO sized. So if you want to use it to get your coals ready and then push your DO on the coals, it's a big thing for that.
Yeah. No, I really like and they're both extremely light. That's what I like about those two options, just really light. And the can, the lid to the garbage can, it's got a spot to rig it through. So you just throw it on top of your load in the back.
Oh, the handle.
The handle, nice. And you're all good to go. Yeah, right.
I never thought about that.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. It's going to be a while, Sean. It's going to be a while. It will not be fully loaded. I guarantee that. But it's on the agenda. We're still working on it. I've been outside once in 4 days, so I'm going home tomorrow. So no extracurricular activities. Andrew, I think I bought mine on Amazon and it was less. I think that's really the advertised price, but I think it was a little bit less at Amazon. Wing's not here. They came to one conference once, but they're not here. They have the Cara opener. Is it a bottle opener?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh geez.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's classic. Yeah, I mean, I think these are. I don't know about all the different models from Spyderco, but there's a bunch of that bird series that look pretty cool. And that's what we're saying. Like, it's good for like privates, use it a few times a year, but like week after week, we broke ours. There is a commercial company that uses one and swears by it, but we destroyed ours pretty quick. Yep. It's a good way to go.
Is that how light? Is it pretty light?
Yeah. It's aluminum. It's small. It's super light. So it's your kind of thing.
All right, what we
So I'm
got
gonna
here?
share this message from our last one to start some conversation, and it's from Neil. I'm not gonna read it, but last week we were talking about training, and I'm kind of bragging here by putting this comment up a little bit. Like, I think the intention of this channel and our show is not to provide training, because Aaron and I are not swiftwater rescue instructors. We're both International Rafting Federation instructors and have experience, but we don't want to replace actual training with the show. But I'm glad somebody wrote this, because I really felt like this is one way that we can continue a conversation, and not just like learning from us, but everybody that comments, that adds their 2 cents. And like, I've changed my opinions about things based on conversation, so I'm learning, and so I'm hoping that our channel here is something that helps with the training topic as well. And I didn't bring this up last week because I thought it was braggy, but I thought, you know what, let's bring it up. Like, why not?
No, it's a nice comment, but I think you bring up a good point. Like, hey, yeah, and we said at the beginning, we're just kind of, just talking about rafting, and that's what we're doing here. We're like kind of like we're hanging out by the fire, just talking about our ideas and throwing them out there, and not to say like this is right or this isn't right, but these are our opinions. And like you said, our opinions change too. So, we're back to this, huh? Back to your favorite little flow chart.
Although I'm trying to figure out how to make it the right size. Let's see. Oh man, can we see the whole thing here? No, we can't. But we'll just do this. We'll go to about there. And just to follow up with last week, I was really shocked, Aaron, how much there was interest in paddleboating guide school, or like paddleboat training. You were right. I really underestimated. I got a few comments. I went boating with Mark Rivers, and we talked about it a little bit. And I've had a few offline conversations, and I was surprised how much private boaters want to learn how to paddleboat. That was really interesting to me. And I just want to reiterate, like, really the only way to learn how to paddleboat, I think, is doing a professional guide school. Yeah. Right? I mean, there's no private boater paddleboat school.
No, not really. And I think that would be it.
It'd be hard, because the problem with learning the paddleboat is you need people in your boat to tell what to do. Mm-hmm. Right. So like, when you're learning to row in a rowing school, everybody has their own boat. You get tons of practice. Right. When you're learning the paddleboat, you're in a boat with 3 or 4 other people. You have 1/3 or 1/4 of the stick time. So it's hard to get repetitions in learning how to do it. I can tell you how to do it. Here's how you do it, but you're really going to learn by doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, the last few years, I begin to appreciate how R2ing, I think, is good for paddle guiding. Like, I work a lot with Art over the years, and most of their guys are really good at rowing, but paddle capping, if they haven't spent time on the Tuolumne or the South Fork, a lot of them are weak on it. And we started incorporating some R2ing in our training in the springs. And I really like that, because I feel like the two of them, they both have to make decisions. The two people both have to make decisions. They have to communicate. They have to talk about lines. They need to practice their overs at times and getting down and moving around the boat and getting more comfortable. And they can kind of challenge. You can challenge your reading and running, I feel like, a little bit more with an R2 than you can if you have a boatload with 6. And the boat more goes where the river takes it. So you get a better feel for what the river's doing to a boat. So I think it's different, but I like that as a part of the learning process. I think for paddle captain, I think it's helpful.
I'm going to disagree.
Go for it.
Okay.
Why did you disagree?
Because I think, if I think about the most important parts of paddle boating, to me, it's not river running. It's not the technical river running. It's the crew prep. It's totally. And that's not something you can learn by R2ing. And that's what you would learn in a guide school, like how you can get your crew prepared and learning. So a lot of first and second, 5th or 10-year guides blame their crews for their mistakes. And like, oh man, I had bad paddlers today, or so and so didn't go forward when I say go forward. Well, it's the guy's fault. I mean, it really is every time. You can blame your crew, but you're the leader. The buck stops here. So there's so much about crew prep and how to do good crew prep. And you can learn how to do it, but you don't learn it until you do it 50 times.
Well, and I think that's part of the problem, though, in the guide schools. They don't spend that much time prepping you're not prepping the crews over and over and over again as much as, because like when it's a professional school, like I think
prepping before the day, but also prepping above rapids too.
I agree. The prepping above back rapids, that's helpful. But I think the biggest part of prepping a crew is teaching them how to paddle together as a unit, paddle well.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think by far, if you do that well, you can be terrible at actually guiding the raft. But if you can get them paddle hard and paddle together, they're going to do well. And so I mean, I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying there. I think that stuff's all really important. What I've noticed for a lot of paddle boat captains, particularly like the one coming from a lot of rowing experience, is they just don't have the comfort with the paddle in their hand to begin with. And they're just not comfortable sitting in there, moving around and doing that stuff. And they don't exude the confidence. And so I think the R2ing gives them some confidence in terms of being in that type of boat. I think that the training in the crew, you're right. It doesn't come out of there. The only way you get good at training crews is working day trips. I mean, let's be honest. By doing it over and over and over.
You have to. It's crushing. I call it crushing day trips. You're just doing it, and it's also like when you have to do 10 miles and 5 of that miles is flat water. Learning how many strokes you can do in a row. Learning how to follow those really subtle currents. You kind of have to learn that by doing. It's really hard to teach it. You can show people how to do it. How to just like pace people all over the day, how to keep them entertained. There's so many soft skills with paddle boating that are just really, really hard to teach.
Yeah.
And so I think now we're getting off topic. I don't think paddle boaters necessarily need those skills, or private boaters necessarily need those skills. Maybe because they're not paddle boating that. I don't know. I'm surprised how much interest there has been in private boaters wanting to learn the ins and outs of paddle boating, which I'm going to make a bold statement here to say you really can only learn it by just doing it a lot. There's not a whole lot of words you can say. There are words that can be done pretty quickly, but it's just going and doing and doing and doing and doing and eventually going big. What do you think?
I mean, I think there's a lot you can do to train, but I think the reps are always important with anything you do. Yeah, so give me a quick second. Like I wrote a whole article on training your paddle crew, and I think the reason I wrote it because I feel like a lot of people don't know.
Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here. If you want me to screen share or just give the link out.
No, screen share. Okay. I'll take this off.
All right.
M Silva. I think some private boaters have a consistent group and some don't. Some people just have their friends that go with a lot, but a lot of times it's like your friend. You take your friends from work, and then you take your kids' soccer team, and then people just know you're the raft person. You take people, so I think it sort of depends on the situation.
All right,
it's hard to say.
So you seen that?
Yeah.
So yeah, talking about how to make your commands, what to use, and thinking about the whole process. I think there's a lot. Like it helps to go to guide school for sure to learn some of this. It also helps, I just think, just to read something like this where you're like, okay, how do I be as efficient as possible? The training the crew part, I think that is something that you get better with practice at it, and knowing how to say it efficiently to get people better and know what to say to them. So I mean, this, like I said, I have this article. I'm going
to give this article a plug, and this article is great because it's from Aaron Cavignolo, like,
oh Jesus,
legendary badass river guide who has a lot of experience in a lot of places. I would say a lot of guide schools are taught by people who only run like a handful of rivers sometimes. So I bet your article would contradict what people are learning in some guide schools, and I would.
I hope not. Here, I'm just going to put it in the feed. So if you're wanting to find it, there's the link to it. How do I say this? I think one of the things I try to do with that article, and I think this is one reason about going to a guide school is good in general, is if you go to guide school, and I say this someplace else, is that you really want your instructors to be class 4 or 5 guides. If you've got class 3 guides teaching your guide school, the problem is they're teaching you skills to run class 3. And a lot of times you can get away with stuff running class 2 that you can't with class 4 and 5. And so I like having instructors that are class 4 or 5 guides for multiple years. But one of the big ones is hey, learn the fundamentals right initially about how to train a crew, how to do your strokes, so it's going to work as you progress. And I think you're going to do better. Like you can, I hear a lot of guys say, oh, I don't use commands, because I just do it myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you can do that on class 3, but you can't do that harder. And you're going to be a better class 3 guy if you use commands. And, if you just try to do it all yourself, first of all, the people are there to participate. So that's kind of born from that part. But then the other part is that you're going to do better using commands. But then people always complain, well, my people always screw up the commands. Yeah, because you don't practice them enough. You know what I mean? It's like I coached a lot of water polo, and when you be in a game, and you hear one of the coaches, or I was guilty of this, was like, I can't believe you're doing this. We've talked about this. Why are you doing this wrong in the game? It's like, you know what they're doing wrong in the game is because you didn't practice it enough in practice. And if just go back to practice and do it a bunch. And I think that's true with in a big rapid. If they're not doing the turns right, that means you just need to use them more in the day when you don't need them, and just so they're practicing them continuously.
Yeah,
through easy rapids.
Going back to you were saying you don't want to learn from class 3 guides. I doubt there's a lot of just class 3 guides who are teaching guide schools. I certainly hope not. But I think what happens if you learn from people who are very geographically, they've only worked 1 or 2 places, or been on rivers 1 or 2 places. They're very much like, this is how you always do it. This is what you do. This is how we always do it. Where somebody like you who has seen a lot of things and has a lot of confidence as a boater, you're like, well, generally this is a solution for that, but I've seen it done this way too. Yeah. And when you are confident about something, like you need to learn how to turn the boat. You can't depend on forward and back. You will be like, hey, you really need to learn these things. I know somebody might have told you that, but you really have to do this. And I think you, with your experience, using overs so much, I think a lot of guys don't do that. And you've seen that effectively. And so I feel like, because you've seen it in certain places, and it could be used other spots too. So I would say you would want instructors with a lot of varied type of experience, and not stuck in a certain way of doing things.
And I think that is one of the problems with taking a pro guide school, though, is a lot of them are designed to teach you to run that river for this company. And if it's a huge company,
and the way they do it.
We talked about this policy versus judgment based. This is a policy based type of style. This is how we do this. This is how we run this river.
You can't call a company and say, are you policy or judgment based? They don't even know. I get what you're saying, but it's hard to know which ones are policy or judgment based.
Well, I think you look for a smaller outfitter in general is that teaches the schools. If it's really, really big, it's hard to be judgment based when you're a huge company. That's just you're going to have more policy, you're going to have more structure, and I think you can't. It's a good point, but I think well, what are you teaching? We're teaching them how to run this river. If they say something like that, that's a red flag, and you might not be able to pick up. But if they're like, oh, we're teaching people how to guide this river, versus we're teaching people how to read the water, how to guide rivers in general, that's the goal. And I think schools that go on more than one stretch of river a lot of times are more ideal for that as well, just because then it's got more of that expectation set into it. So
Sean, my only concern with this, if it was a 7-day rowing school, I mentioned this earlier, where you're rowing your boat every day, that's a lot of reps. You get better. Again, the problem with paddle boating is you're sharing, you get way less time on the stick, because you have to have when you're learning to paddle boat, you have to have people to yell at too. And so, you're taking turns on the stick. So if there's 4 people sharing a boat for 7 days, you're really only getting 7 divided by 4 days of actual guiding experience. And it makes it hard to really get experience paddle boating. You get I think guiding is the way to do it. You just do it over and over and over every day, and you get a lot of reps. Kind of what what Roddy's saying here is you just work it, and that's how you get really good at paddle boating. To me, it's just a hard thing to teach good paddle boating. It's so much practice. Same thing with rowing though too.
Yeah. I think that's. Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
What do you think about this? What are the best rivers to learn on?
Well, going back,
let's say for paddle boating. If
we're talking about for paddle boating, I think, Zach, one of the things you were just talking about there is that like commercial guiding, I think even if you just weekend warrior it for like a season and just be like,
Yeah.
just go for a season and every weekend go and work trips. That's really how you'll learn to train crews. And ideally you're working with a company that's got that runs class 3 and class 4 stuff. And so they've got guides that are bouncing you back and forth. So you get to work with some of those more experienced guides, see what they're doing, kind of overhear them, watch them. And I'd say that's a big part of the rivers to learn on is if you're talking about working with a company or we're talking about a guide school, you want them to have instructors that have the experience different places. But I mean, the South Fork American is outstanding. And Peter, I think that's in your backyard. I think that's one of the best ones. Zach, up in your area, what do you think is probably the best thing?
I don't know. The Deschutes is not a good place to learn. The white salmon you can't learn. I think the South Fork is great, but I think I will focus less on the river you're learning on and more about the people you're learning from. Like the culture of people you're learning from, I think is important. Because you're being set a good example, and people who really know what they're doing. I think the group is important. And so for beginning learning, I think the South Fork's great, but I think anywhere will work. But I have to say, most of the best guides I know came through the Tuolumne. So I think if you really want to learn to be a great guide, like having it part of your career on the Tuolumne River that's a great place to get a lot better.
You know, I'm amazed how many people I've talked with who brought up that river, and they said you have to be able to do low water, high water, paddle boats, gear boats, or paddle combo. You have to do everything there, and you have a lot of reps. You got to do it a lot. So you got to do a lot of safety talks. You got to do a lot of training.
It's hard.
Yeah. That is a great river. I mean, it's our home river in a lot of ways. So we're like kind of home. We're like, it's the best. But I think it is a great one. Going back though to Peter's question, I think the key part for rivers to get good at paddle boating on is one that's technical, where you've got to control your momentum. You've got to call lots of short commands. It doesn't have to be like you're going to wrap, but you get stuck on rocks. So low water, like I'll say, like, the stretch above foul, or is on the South Fork is classic from, Lotus down there. It's like all class 2+, but you do that in the middle of summer. There's a lot of rocks you can get stuck on. It's hard. And I think stuff like that, where you have to check your momentum, call precise commands, that's really makes people good. I think it's really easy to go from the technical to the big water. But I feel like guys who've just got a big water never have the skills of people who started with technical. So I that's where I would be looking for something that's technical, low water. You've got to avoid rocks. You got to take your time. You got to call back paddles. You learn to call some overs into some rocks. You're getting stuck. You're having to get the boat off the rocks because it's stuck. And I feel like you learn a lot when the boat gets stuck on rocks, is like how it pivots around and how it moves.
Yeah, I agree. Low water technical is, I like that kind of boating, but it's a great play to learn. Let's move on. We have a lot to cover today.
Yeah.
And this is kind of an eccentric thing. The other thing I want to bring up, Aaron, get your thoughts on, is we talked about everybody should have a Swiftwater class. Remember that comment last week? Everybody should have Swiftwater. And I thought about this a lot after the last show. And I thought the idea of Swiftwater rescue, the name Swiftwater was invented by land-based rescuers, like firefighters and people that are like, we're going to show up and be the Swiftwater response to this. And I wonder if it makes more sense for us to call the rescue that we do as boaters whitewater rescue. What do you think? Like Swiftwater rescue should be like for people who it's just swift water. It's like anybody who's like, oh, it's just swift water. We do rescues there. Where whitewater rescues are rescues where we're in a whitewater environment with whitewater boaters. What do you think about that distinction? This is just me brainstorming.
Yeah, I like that. I would even take it a step further, and I think we discussed this last week. I think we should have whitewater rafting rescue, whitewater kayaking rescue. Like, I think you should break it down even further than that.
So like on this chart,
whitewater kickboarding, what are those things called that people write down on?
Like a pack rafting rescue.
Pack rafting, yeah. No, hey, that's a great example. Like the pack rafting rescue class would be way different than those other two. And like,
that's what we did here, right? Like Aaron says in every column, there's kayak rescue, there's rescue, like a professional like guide rescue, and then there's like a raft rescue. But I think, but in the comments, and as I started thinking about this, everybody uses the term Swiftwater. Take a Swiftwater class. Take a Swiftwater class. I started thinking, it's an interesting nomenclature because I think the history of swiftwater classes comes from that land-based hero rescuer showing up. And I think a better way to rethink about rescue for the whitewater boater is call it whitewater rescue. That's really what it is. It's rescue in a whitewater environment.
And
it's more than swiftwater. Swiftwater is like, to me, like that's where you do those things where everybody gets in a triangle and they all hold each other's shoulders and you walk across the river. You said last week you thought that was really cool and important. But again, have you ever used that or heard that used in any rescue ever?
I'm gonna say I think that's a fraction of the stuff. I think you need to be able to. And it's funny you brought this up because Zach, this is what you're like. We're like connected in a way on this stuff because I agree with what you're saying. I was gonna say it a little differently, but what I was gonna say is like I think that stuff's important. But the problem is when you group all those people together, it's not craft specific. And like 95% of the rescue you're doing is from your craft. And so with the Swiftwater course, when I think of Swiftwater course, I think of a course where you're affecting a rescue from land in bit general.
That's my point. That's
exactly. So, that's why I agree with you. And that's why, but I think that's why you need to have separate like whitewater kayaking rescue, rafting rescue, pack rafting rescue, sup rescue. Like it's different.
But whitewater rescue, not swiftwater rescue. So since I had this thinking in my head, I've been at this conference and people talk about classes and they're like, every time I hear the word take a swiftwater class the past few days, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me all of a sudden. Because I'm like, it's really not what we should be taking. There should be a differently designed class with a different name that doesn't involve the word swiftwater because it really, to me,
and I think it's and Zach, I'll even say that it's too general. It's too general, like Swiftwater for a Grand Canyon trip versus Swiftwater for a Cherry Creek trip versus Swiftwater for I don't know some.
You can't get that specific though because you have 3 people in every class. You need to. There needs to be some bringing people together.
Yeah,
because boaters. I'm gonna interrupt you. No, I'm going here because boaters do all of those. Like it's not like you're just only going to do Cherry Creek. You're only going to do the Grand Canyon.
That's fair.
A typical boater is going to do the variety. So they need the skills for a variety of big water, low water, different things.
Okay.
They just don't need the skills that are designed for shore-based rescue.
Hear me out though. I agree with you, and I agree with you big picture when we're talking about for private boaters. For commercial boaters though, I think it should be specific. Like you're taking the Swiftwater class to work on the Grand Canyon. Let's work on Grand Canyon rafting.
That makes sense.
You're taking a Swiftwater class to work on the South Fork of the American.
Yeah.
Let's work on skills for that. So I
mean,
agree with you. You're right. Private boaters, a more comprehensive. But I feel like right now with the Swiftwater course, it's a one size fits all. They plug it into everything, and it's pretty much the same. There's a little bit of difference, but I think it should be way more, whatever river specific.
I mean, ideally, there's a professional whitewater rescue course that professionals take, right? But then maybe on top of that, there's site-specific training to the river they're doing.
But so you're gonna have the same professional Swiftwater rescue class for kayakers as you have for rafters?
No, because kayakers, it's kayak rescue. Like the center column here, it says rescue, ACA rescue 3. Might get recategorized as in professional whitewater rescue, and then below
professional whitewater rafting rescue. Is that what you mean? Professional whitewater rafting?
Yeah, professional whitewater rafting rescue. Yeah. Professional whitewater rescue full rafters. Maybe we'll call it that. And then below there, maybe I should add a thing that says site-specific rescue, where people come in and do site-specific training based off you're on the Rogue or the Grand Canyon or the Cherry Creek or whatever.
I might even call it whitewater rafting trip rescue, to imply that you can have some kayakers on that trip who are safety kayakers. It's a specific, that's a specific thing that you could train in there. And that would make sense.
You're getting too much in the weeds on this.
Oh no, I thought that was a great point.
No, that's too many words. Nobody knows what it means. My general thing is, I think we agree, and we're not going to do this. This isn't going to happen. We are like, I don't want to cause any. I don't want people that own rescue companies pissed off at me because I'm doing this. But I'm just saying, I feel like if I could change things, and we can't because we're in the paradigm we're in. I'm not saying we're going to or will or should. I'm saying we should, but we're not going to. We should be referring to it as whitewater rescue and not swiftwater rescue. And I love to have comments. If you guys are like, you guys are idiots, tell us in the comments because maybe we're completely wrong here. It's just something I thought about quite a bit.
Yeah, that's
Look at that, Aaron.
Yeah. If I lived on the mainland, maybe. Yeah, it's a little tough from here to do that. So
Aaron can't start a training franchise, but I think we both sometimes see value in more opportunities for training available.
And it sounds like from some of the comments we've had in previous weeks that they are doing more of that with like the ACA stuff and some of the other stuff. It is more specific. I feel like some people were mentioning that, and I hope it continues in that direction. And just recognizing let's practice the 95% of the rescues that we need to practice. Let's practice. Whatever is the most common stuff. That's the stuff we need to work on and make sure we're good at and we have down.
Yeah, but it could also be like, hold on, I'm opening something else up. It can also be like training, which is a class training, and then training that's just training, right? Like I think we get confused. We think like we take a class and we're done training, but there needs like training involves actually going and practicing on your own. That's not in the class environment, and so that's where like you can take a class and then you can go do the boat rescue things on your own. The problem is when I go boating and like, hey guys, let's steady out here and throw bags and do a thing. And it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of tired. There's a football game later. Like creating a culture of that is a little challenging.
No, I feel like the only way that stuff happens is if you're lucky enough to be working someplace where you're required to use throw bags, where it's on like every trip or something like that, where you're lining boats and you got to throw a throw bag here to there. Like that's how I got lucky. Is I just ended up working somewhere where we had every trip we had to throw like 4 throw bags to line boats. You had to throw them across the river, so you got good because everyone would make fun of you. So you're always like, oh, I better be good at this because I don't want to miss my throw. And all the guys are like, oh, just restuff it. We'll get another one. Go ahead. It's like over there. So yeah.
What's interesting, being here at this show, I've had like 6 or 7 different people approach me about our IRF course next spring and wanting to know about it. But everybody who does is very professional. Like there's nobody who's like kind of a doofus approaching me. Like these people are like all very professional. And we've had a lot of conversations about training. And most of these people, the company they work for, they throw bags regularly. Like it's part of their there's a surprising. I didn't know how many people nowadays, like commercial guides, are throwing a throw bag almost every day at a practice. Like get back to the warehouse, you throw your throw bag. Like it's becoming more and more of what companies are doing.
It's not a bad idea. Throw it and then you leave it out to dry or something like that. Like
yeah, but also just a practice run. I think I talked to some really cool people the past few days who are very professional guides, who are doing really cool things. They're getting out their training quite a bit. Really? Peter has a comment. Anchor, Z-drags, throw bags, rescue from shore. Yeah, getting with and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Those are great ideas. Those are great things. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of learning anchors. Like at a minimum.
I know you are. You are.
Because if you're a new person,
here we go.
And you get stuck, you need to tie an anchor to your boat.
Just put it around the boat. You know what I'm going to say? Just put it around the tube.
That's fine. I'm not saying you have to use D-rings, but you have like if you're the one stuck on a rock, you have to attach the rope to your boat because you're the one on it. And so at a minimum, you need to be able to anchor the rope to the boat. And so I feel like anchors should be like step 1.
Or deflating tubes should be step 1.
No, Aaron, don't give people misinformation. That's fake news.
No, that's real. That works. Works consistently.
The problem with teaching people to do that is they'll just start deflating tubes. There's not going to be we've talked about this before, Aaron. Really?
As long as they don't deflate tubes underwater, it's going to be fine.
No, it's not. You can't just willy-nilly start like letting air into tubes and just.
Yes, you can. I've seen it work so many times. Have you seen it go bad?
You have to have.
Have you seen it go bad?
I haven't seen it go bad. I've rarely seen it done in person.
And I know you've seen it.
I'm just saying, like people will just start deflating tubes and hoping the best comes, and you have to have some knowledge of what's going on before you start deflating tubes.
Yeah, you have to. But I think you're better off learning that than learning how to do a 3-point anchor on your raft, which you're never gonna have a long enough piece of webbing to do or be able to reach 3 points.
That's not true. You will. You'll have a long. If you carry long, I carry that much webbing, but even a 2.
How long is your piece of webbing that you carry, Zach?
30 feet.
Okay, yeah, it's got to be really long.
Yeah.
30 feet. That
I
sounds
think
about right.
I like it depends on D-ring width on the boat, but like 30 feet is good. And I'm doing 30s and 20s. I like to bring 230s, 220s.
Yeah. Chris Davis has a good comment here. Do you see his comment?
Oh, hold on. Internet's going slow.
Yeah. I think that's I think that's kind of, in my mind, that's an easy best practice. At the end of the day, you throw your throw bag, and then let it dry out.
Well, where I live, it's not going to dry out. It's just going to get wet. I'm going to have to stuff it, and it's going to get my shirt wet.
You don't have to go over your shoulder to stuff it, Zach. There's other ways to stuff that you don't have to, because I don't like to get my shirts all dirty, so I don't stuff it that way. I just stuff it in front. Yeah. You don't have to do it over your shoulder.
No, I think
there's just a big hits in this. Where is this? Costa Rica?
It's Costa Rica, and so somebody sent me this. Right, I don't know how I found it, but it's kind of a long lead in. That's why I started it while we were bickering.
Okay.
But so if we can move on to this,
I'm gonna say this is a little bit of a scary section of river. I haven't seen any recovery places. Like if you swim.
Yeah, this is I think a good point. That point I was going to make is most people are like, oh, this must be like class 2+. It's not. It doesn't look that hard, but this is terrifying to me when I look at this, because if there's no recovery. If somebody flips or somebody falls out, they go.
You're not climbing out on that bank on the left,
Yeah, I do not like this, and it gives me the little nervousness. Just like, wow, affecting a rescue in this kind of continuous whitewater is pretty challenging, especially with tree-lined banks. It's not exactly easy to swim to shore if people even can. And they're not wearing wetsuits. I don't know how cold it is, but you can go for a long swim here.
It's probably not. It's not cold. It's Costa Rica.
It can't. Costa Rica can be cold.
Oh, you're right. I guess you're right. But
depends where they are. My best guess is this is. Oh man, I can't tell. I think this is either the Sarapiquí or the Lower Peñas Blancas. The best guess, because this isn't typical Costa Rica to me. It's not like a classic run. If anybody knows, let us know in the comments. But I'm nervous for them. What do you think about their boat spacing, though?
I think it's pretty rad. It's pretty darn good. They get a little close, a little far, but they're. I mean, I feel like you gotta have good boat spacing on a run like this with the features they're running and everything. Yeah, it seems pretty darn good. Could it be a little bit better? Always, but man, I would be right here, oh, okay, let's see how they handle this.
There's a pass. They did a pass.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? I'd be if this was my outfit, I'd be pretty happy with my guides. I'd be like, yeah, man, let's keep.
But now
this
boat, the boat we're in now, there's nobody downstream. There's no downstream.
Yep.
We don't see anybody. I think this is actually not the lead boat though, Aaron. We'll find out. I think in a second. But this is where I feel like a safety kayaker on this continuous of water is just invaluable. And I don't push safety kayakers. I don't think you need them as often as people think. But right here, if somebody just goes, they're just take off.
Yeah, why would you rather have a safety kayaker than a safety cataract on this?
I think here I would, because it's so continuous. And my worry is one person just going, and the safety kayaker can chase them down. Where a safety cat can't go as fast.
The safety cats could go pretty freaking fast though.
But not like a kayak. Yeah. So
and once the kayak chases them down, what are they going to do with them?
Pull them to shore. So I think a boat flipped ahead of them.
Whoa.
So I think I'm going to pause it for a second. I think. Oh, I can't pause it there.
Do you see the kayakers in the eddy back up there? There must be a sweet little surf eddy. I bet I know what happened. Yeah.
I'm going to pause it for a second and go back. So let me tell you what I think happened when I said he, and I shouldn't say it's he. It could be anybody. It could be a male or female or a.
Yeah, we got you. We got you. It could be anybody. Yes.
Yeah. So a person, the person getting, they passed that boat because they saw the flip way downstream. Remember that pass? I look back at that and I think they're like, oh man, I got a book, and they just booked after this. I think that's my best guess. But the boat spacing here is terrible, right? They seem like lead boat for a while because they're, So the boat spacing of that 3-boat pod was really good. And maybe they're running in pods or something, but this is a big duty to catch up with this. Sorry, what did you think, Aaron? Sorry, I just did my little spiel.
I think that boat up in front, maybe where those kayakers were hanging out, is there a big surf? Is there no? Oh, right in front of them. Is that a hole right there?
Oh, those aren't kayakers, those are swimmers.
Oh, those are swimmers. Okay.
Yeah. So they just passed. Okay, so on the right,
those are swimmers.
I think swimmers from that boat. See how hard it is to even get to shore here? It's just
that's one of the nicer spots too to get to shore. We can keep swimming to shore, and
And so this boat passes that swimmer.
There's a swimmer next to the boat.
They just passed a swimmer. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's a swimmer further downstream. So like again, they're like, you see the swimmer like he's like, I have to catch up with the furthest away ones. They don't have a safety net. Like
no, and I'll say like this guide's making the right decisions. Like you know, they're right there, so grab that one for sure. But then they got like the other person, like, yeah, whatever, man. Yep. The boat behind us is gonna rescue you. We got to go for those lead people. God, there's people all over the place,
everywhere. Yeah. Again, because it's so continuous, like things get out of control real fast.
Yeah. Oh man. People don't look cold when they come in. They look tired, but they don't look cold.
Oh yeah, I think we get to this. I think this person here is hurting. And then another thing is see the PFD come really high up. Like PFD is not tight enough. This is now the part I don't understand.
They unclip the PFD. I think I've seen this one before.
Is why do they unclip the PFD? Is she just like having a hard time breathing and she's like, I gotta get this off?
Yeah, which seems like just get her seated. It's more just get her seated up and get that slid down. Even loosen the sides a little and slide it down rather than unclip it, you know, and then retighten it. Yeah.
I thought this was an example of a pretty well done rescue.
Yeah.
That kind of showed how terrifying this continuous water is.
They came and regroup. It's just like, and then have you counted heads easily?
There's nowhere
where everyone is. Oh man.
You can't exactly. The guests are probably strewn over a mile at this point in different boats. Yeah. How do you know you have everybody? This is not. I would not want to run this commercially, unless it had to be done with like really, really good guides and small groups. You can't have 10 boats with safety kayakers, probably plural. And again, I'm with you, Aaron. I'm a big fan of safety cats. So I'm not saying that in any way that I think in general, safety cats are better than safety kayaks. But I think on this kind of water, having somebody that can just surgically solve problems is pretty sweet.
I'd be fine with either, but
that's exactly where the leg things help for sure. Wait, did she have I don't think she had it though.
No, she didn't.
I think those life jacket harnesses might have helped. Yeah. All right. Well, Aaron, do you know what the title of the show is?
What show?
Our show? Today's show. Do you know what we're covering today?
I have no idea.
You don't even know the titles of our show when you sign up for them? You're going to love it. This is going to be great. So I'm getting now to the meat and potatoes of the show. And we have one more video to finish off with.
How do I even see what the title is, Zach? I have to go to YouTube to turn it on and look.
Yeah, okay. This is wind footage today. It's wind footage day, Aaron.
I might have called in sick had I known. Ooh, look at that coolness there.
Yeah, I did some fun editing. So this is from The Wind with Mark Rivers. There we go. The other day, and we don't have to watch all of it. But I thought I'd just share some rowing on the wind and see if you can.
This isn't from the other day? I feel like I've seen you do that move before.
It's the same river. It's just different. I mean, I did the same move because it's the same river. I do that move every time. But I did something special today that I want to brag about. But I'm gonna wait till it. Wait, I kind of want to see if you pick up on it. If you see like something unique about today.
Well, I'm gonna say it's spotty and I can't see much, but there's something I'm supposed to see about today. Something about your oars.
It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and today's the day I finally did it.
Oh, are there no bumpers on your oars?
No stoppers.
No stoppers, yeah.
So today was no stoppers, no leashes, no spare.
Zach,
everybody's like,
Zach, that sounds like the opposite of rescue squirrel there. Why don't you go no helmet, no life jacket, no dry suit too?
That's next. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, no leashes, no spare. This is not a Williamson. This is their 13.9. I forget what they call it. I did not design this one. But the more I use it, the more I didn't like it at first because it's so much rocker. But now the more I'm using it, the more I'm liking it. Actually,
you're starting to like the rocker, Zach. Yeah,
I thought about a rocker conversation a lot this day, and as I was boating it, I was like, let me play with the rocker, let me feel it and see if I like it. And there's some nice advantages to it for sure. Definitely nice advantages. It does feel a little bit. The rocker's fun. The rocker's definitely fun.
Where is your waist throw bag? That's a good point. Is this your minimalist trip? How little stuff can you bring?
Yeah, I didn't bring it. I just tied it on the boat today. We've talked about this before. It's kind of annoying to row with a waist throw bag in that seat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, today was with a really solid crew. That's why I did this. I didn't feel like I had to rescue anybody. I felt super confident with everybody. So, if I'm with a crew I'm a little worried about, I might throw the waist throw bag on. But today was my day to play.
So if you let go of your oar at any point, it's just going to slide straight into the water and be gone.
Yes. And I don't have a spare. It is commitment.
Zach, you are modeling such. Yeah, I can't believe you're modeling this.
If I was running lead,
you'd be better off drinking a beer while you're going downstream than doing that.
No, that's different. No, there's no way. Brody's with me. Brody's running lead. I think I just passed him, but I think I wait for him here in a second. Brody was lead. I was 2 with some safety kayakers, who were good.
Yeah,
good
you might as well just be hammered. I mean,
no, that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not true.
It is true.
So
it is true. You lose an oar.
So I didn't lose an oar.
You didn't. Yeah,
and
you can be hammered, go down, and you didn't lose. You're fine too. No.
I mean, what happens if I lose an oar? I hold on, and I'll probably be fine. This isn't Cherry Creek.
What do you do if you lose an oar? You just row the rest of the whole thing with one oar?
Mark Rivers had a paddle. He's let me borrow.
Oh,
if I lose an oar, the punishment was I was going to borrow a paddle from Mark Rivers. There's Birdie right there. I eddied out, waited for Birdie to get back in the lead because I'm the weak link today, so I don't want to be in the lead.
So you did have a backup. You did have a backup plan.
Yeah, a paddle, which is punishment.
You did.
It's not like there was no backup at all. Yeah.
Yeah. But, that's what I thought you were doing, and I was like, that seems kind of sketchy. You didn't have a backup.
I mean, the reason we talked about like training and practice, and for me, like the wind is starting to get pretty. I go to the wind to practice. It's where I like sharpen my skills and I get better. And I've done it so much to where like I try different lines every time I'm catching different eddies, but I was like, I need to do a run that's like I'm very comfortable on it, but I need to make it challenging. I need to up the challenge a little bit. And so I'm like, let's do something that's hard.
Okay.
So it's part of my training regimen. And all the people who were like, oh man, they're like open oar locks, don't use your stoppers. Like, all right, don't use your stoppers. I have to say, do you know what Gilman grips are, Aaron?
Yep.
The Gilman grips would have been nice. So here I passed. Look at that, got right behind Brody. We took different lines. I'm pretty proud of that moment. Because you can like here, because they hold the boats, the oars positively in your hands. Like I was always worried about pulling an oar and then I don't know. It was worrisome that I would.
But I mean, that's the same as anyone who rows open locks has that problem. That has nothing to do with not having a leash.
No, because if I lose it. So having the Gilman grip, there's no way I might just like let it go. Like I the whole time I'm like, I wish there was some like I don't want to duct tape my hands to the oars, but I kind of wanted to.
Well, I don't
Like,
understand. You're saying the Gilman grips would give you a better grip of the oar?
yeah, a grip in and out like this. And I've never used Gilman grips. I don't know, but I just feel like something that had more positive attachment to the oar, and I feel like there's a
Okay.
stopper like in and out like this. Would have been kind of nice.
Nice spacing there. Oh, getting a little spread out. This must be a little bit of a crux point
Well,
here.
there's places to get. This is balls to the wall, right? There's lots of places to get stuck. So I gave him a little bit of space just before he went down. Yeah, I could have used sticks, I'm sure.
There you go. Yeah, use sticks as a paddle.
Yeah, no, Mark Rivers had a paddle for me, so I felt pretty good about it. It would have been pretty.
I mean, this
punishing.
boat's so light. It's like,
yeah.
That's the thing is like with the flow. This is the size of your boat.
It's a really forgiving flow. Like it's a really, this is the most forgiving flow.
Yeah.
I would not do this if it was high water, or I was worried to have to rescue somebody, because I really would have a hard time rescuing somebody. Or if it's super low water, it has to be, for me, it had to be perfect. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. All right, so there's our wind footage. You happy, Aaron?
I've never requested wind footage. Other people have requested it, but I've never requested wind footage.
I don't think they actually. I think they're messing with me. All right, and then we have one more video for the day, and we'll shut this show down. I think we've done this one before, Aaron. I think we've video reviewed this one before. It's a Rescue a Blossom. Somebody asked me to do it, and I watched parts of it.
I think that last one too in Costa Rica, we watched that one once before too. I feel like, or I've definitely seen it before. Maybe we didn't watch it on the show.
Well, maybe we're repeating ourselves. We're running out of good stuff.
Well, people are asking us to review stuff that we may have already watched, but that's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I almost responded, like, hey, just find it. It was a previous episode. It's there. But I rewatched parts of this the other day, and there is so many nuggets in this one. There's just so many little things. So I thought we'd take a minute and just like go through it one time. It's a long one, so I might fast forward here for a second.
Blossom Bar.
We're in Blossom Bar. No, we'll just hang out. We're not in a hurry. So there's the classic raft pinned at. Does that rock have a name?
I thought that was the picket fence.
The picket fence is the whole left side. I don't think that rock is technically the picket fence.
Well, I can't see very well exactly where they are. We'll see when we get closer. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I know the road, but it's not my home river.
Yeah. I was sort of asking somebody. So somebody knows that rock has a name. Leave in the comments for us. But this boater catches this eddy right here, which is a pretty tough eddy catch. Right? Like it's not an easy pull in. And if you remember, I think we have reviewed this. Remind me, he gets in the ducky and paddles down to the raft, which is terrifying to me, getting this close to like this raft full of just like ropes and things and to attach a rope. So they use the ducky to put a rope on and go back up. What do you think of this technique?
Well, it works. So it seems like a good one. I mean, like their judgment was good in this case. I would be nervous about a lot of people doing this.
Yeah.
I think that, like coming to the upstream side of that boat scares me a little bit. But he was able to. I wonder if he had someone had a rope attached to the back of the boat as well, or something like that.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I watched this because we're just seeing it. It's the internet stuff, so it's jittery. But it seemed like he
never tied himself off, and he's pulling that rope, and someone's holding his boat from behind.
Somebody's holding it now. Maybe he did tie it up. But the one thing I like about this pull, usually we pull rafts off from the river left side, is that this is a good angle to pull from. This is going to like wrap the boat off the rock. It's not like we're not sliding the boat down the rock. This is like a peeling it off method. I think as you'll see, is pretty effective.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, this is nicely done.
Oh, here we go. Oh, we're getting some help here. There was a rope. Okay. So somebody in a rope lowered them down, kind of paddle down, and then that person could help pull them back up.
I like that a lot better with the rope on there, on the back. It makes a lot more sense to me because you're much more control coming to the raft. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of those classic old, Charlie Walbridge rescues where you have the boat and you send the boat down to rescue the other boat. But with the like IK, it's just so much smaller and lighter. It doesn't. It's there. You don't have the forces on it in the same way. Man.
Sean, I was paddling with somebody last week who's a pretty good paddler and like respected person who had an unlocked beater on their jacket too. It happens all the time. I see it way more.
I think, and I'm going to say that's why I don't like to have carabiners on my jacket, because at some point you're going to forget to lock it and it's going to be unlocked. And if you're used to wearing them there, you're not going to think about it and double and check it. So I think it's way better in a pocket, and actually way better clipped to a bag or in your boat, and like not having on you so it doesn't weigh you down. But this guy nails this thing. This is amazing.
Does it quick. I mean, I watched this I watched it most of it the other day. It's impressive. I mean, I'm really impressed. I mean, they got the angle right. The angle is from the start was really good. He set up his 3-to-1 really quick. He knew early. He says, he send the plastic out, like get this thing as far away as we don't have to reset as often. Like that they thought this through. There's only 2 of them, so it only takes 2 of them to pull this boat off. Man, I don't know if I've ever seen a rat pull off, especially a gear boat with just 2 people. Would you have deflated tubes, Aaron? Would you have sent that guy down and say, "Hey, go, let's deflate some tubes"? I'm not. This isn't me being mean to you.
I need to look at it again.
Like, hey, Ducky guys, go down there and push some air out. We'll see what happens.
I'm going to say this: if there's somebody on that boat on the rock, I think I would have pushed on the top of it, see if I could push it to flip it over. Does that make sense?
My other consideration here.
I hate to say it, but I mean, it works so well. It works.
Are you
Yeah,
yawning
I'm
right
tired
now?
today for some reason.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on! Are you kidding me?
I was raging.
I'm in Vegas, man.
Last night. I was raging last night.
I should be the tired one. You shouldn't be the one yawning.
I think I went to bed at 9:05 last night. I'm tired.
So, well, we'll have to turn the show off. I'm sorry I'm boring you. Hey, the question is, Aaron, the upstream, do you think they have an upstream spotter right now? Or didn't you guys have a new name for that position? Upstream safety coordinator. Didn't we come up with a new name for it? You wanted it. I made fun of you and you guys came up with it.
Who's us
guys? You and Steve had some new name for the upstream and downstream person that was like super politically correct. I'm like, no, it's just upstream spotter.
Safety. I think upstream safety is fine.
Okay. Do you think they have it right now?
Oh, yeah, because you called it upstream spotter, and I said upstream safety. Probably.
Anyway,
and you know what? If they don't specifically have it, whoever is up there there's people up there probably scouting. There's always someone up there scouting. So, and you can see down there. So I'm not too worried about it. You can see the people on the rope. You can see all that stuff going on before you drop in. Like you can see the people, you can see the boats every once in a while. You can see when they look upstream, you can see the boats upstream waiting.
So you think if you can see them, you're good. You don't need one. If you can see it, we don't need a spotter.
I'm not going to say you're good, but I'm saying there is some responsibility, I think, for people going downstream to look downstream and see ropes are out when you can see them clearly. Like it's best practices, but there's only 2 of them. There's only 2 of them, man. And
maybe there's 3 of them. Hold on. My question is, maybe there's 3 of them.
Yeah, and if you have the numbers, send someone up there. Great. But my biggest concern with this whole thing is when this boat comes off, what's the plan? How are they going to handle it? I think that's, to me, everything else I've been like, super impressed.
Do you remember what happens? You don't remember what happens?
You know what? Also, like, he's got a high float vest on, dude. This guy's the man. Dude, yeah,
I do really respect a lot of what this guy does. And if you hear the audio, and the link should be in the description of this video, if you want to watch just the video with the audio, he's pretty calm. He's communicative. He's like, here's what we're doing next. I mean, they're doing it pretty quick. He's like moving along, but it's not like he's like freaking out. They're just like, hey, let's keep doing this. We're good. Keep moving it along. At one point here, their hands start getting, I think, blistered up a little bit. Right? Like they're like, one of them says, hey, do you put those gloves on? And they take a break, like, man, I'm tired. They take a break and they're like, let's do one more pull and see what happens. So they're definitely paying attention.
Now, would you ever go and just do a vector pull on this thing?
Like tie it off right now and then put another rope on it and vector pull that rope?
You don't even have to tie it off, though. You could just, like, where he's pulling right now, just take that rope and go, just tie the press and then go 90 degrees and just pull. Or you push it back out as far as you can, then pull sideways on it.
This is that break I was talking about.
Yeah. You know what? Does that make sense what I'm saying? You could do a vector pull off of that pretty easily. Just using the pull.
Like with that rope right there. Like, so now take that rope and pull that rope 90 degrees.
Yeah, slide the press stick as far out as you can. Go 90 degrees and pull.
I wouldn't do it with that rope. I would attach another rope and I would kind of get out of the line of fire because the forces a vector pull can create might break something.
Yeah, but if you're going at that, yeah,
I would get out of the way. I would like, let's get over here.
Yeah, but
we might break something.
No, but when you're doing the vector pull, you're going to be out of the way because you're going to be off to the side, and I would be some steps back. That'd be the nice thing. I wouldn't be really close to that pulley. I'd be out by the rack. Use that rope, and I try to get the vector pull more in the center. If I remember right, the more in the center of the rope it is, the more effective it is. Yeah, it's like right now, it's like on like the, probably 15% of the distance of the rope. Yeah.
So I try to get it out by that rock. So I'd use like another bag and pull on it. Just like I could throw a throwback on a carabiner, clip it on, and try to pull the middle. I did that. I did do that recently and it worked. I forget where, actually. But we did do it and it worked. There's the gloves I was talking about. And that's a real thing. Your hands getting blistered, especially just two. This is two guys pulling a gearboard off. They're pulling hard.
Zach, I don't feel like you always got blisters dealing with these things.
I did?
Yeah, I feel like your hands always got torn up.
I don't remember that, but sure. I have no idea what that means.
It means like just give him some job, get him out of here. Hey, go boil hot water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, can you go? Hey, we need 4 rocks about a pound each.
And then he cut it, right? Did he cut it with a knife?
Cut it. Yeah. What do you think? It's hard to see because this is all shaky because we're streaming it, but it kind of goes. It kind of is. Explodes in a way.
What's interesting is, but where you cut it, it's going to explode both ways away from you. So if there's no one behind you, it's fine. You just like, I come here, I'm cutting it, it's going to go boom. Does that make you understand what I mean? Like right where you cut, you're not going to get hurt right there. You're going to get hurt if you're on either end when it zips back. So it's actually
would you call? It's interesting. I don't know if I don't think I know exactly what it's going to do. I see what you're saying. I think I know what it's going to do, but that rope where you cut it right there, or just do something weird and like hit you and burn you or cut you.
It's not going to hit you. It's going to go backwards.
Aaron, you're going to say that with 100% certainty. You can tell the world, hey guys, cut your ropes. You're going to be fine. You know that for sure. You've done the science. Exactly.
I'm going to say, okay, it's not going to be longer. It's going to, the rope's going to shorten after you cut it, right? It's going to pull away.
I don't know. I'm not a rope scientist. I don't want to spread misinformation. Hey, so
okay.
The problem with cutting a rope. The problem with cutting a rope is you cut your rope. Like you have an expensive haul line, you just cut. Yeah. That's definitely the thing. But they did. I mean, you mentioned you're like what you're like. I'm concerned what's going to happen when they're done, which is a good concern. And I think they had that plan. Like, hey, like when this goes, we're going to cut it because somebody says it's time to cut it. Like they talked about it beforehand. Now the classic chasing down.
The other thing you could do too is you can cut your prussics.
Can you?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work.
Why isn't it?
Because
if you cut both prussics.
Yeah. Won't that one prussic run through the system? Even if it doesn't,
it won't. It won't run through the system because it's on
depends how you do your brake prussic. I think there's multiple ways to do
your brake press. No, your brake press is on the raft end. It doesn't have to go.
It's not always. You can depend. That's what I'm saying. It depends. I think best practice is to do your brake like on the haul line, but you could set your brake pressing up on one of the other lines.
How would you do that? That'd be the only way you could do it on one of the other lines would be if you went back.
On the line you're pulling on. It's on the line you're
on the line you're pulling on. If you had to change a direction there, you could do it there. But I
mean, and I've always wondered if anybody's really thought this through. Like, where is the actual best place to put the brake press? I'll pause this for a second. Because if it's on the haul line, that's the highest force, and your prussic is weak, and so maybe that's good because
your prussic is supposed to be weak, Zach. That's the whole point. That's supposed to be the weak spot in the system. I think
it still is, because the prussic that has the carabiner on it is still like it doesn't have quite the load, but has a load. Well, why not put that prussic?
The prussic with the prussic that goes the second prussic, the prussic that's farther out on the haul line. That one has a third of the force on it, or 2/3 of the force. 2/3.
Yeah. So the prussic that's on the haul line has a full haul line load, right? Mm-hmm. Well, why not move that to the rope you're pulling on, and that one sees lower forces, and then let the 2/3 one be the circuit breaker?
I mean, it's interesting. I would just say because then you can cut that prussic, and then if you cut both prussics, you're good to go.
I don't think cutting prussics and ropes is best practices, but I don't know. We don't decide these things. I'm wondering, did somebody sit down once and say best practices is the rope to the boat or the rope you're pulling on? Has anybody really thought this through and like come up with a definitive, better way to do it?
I don't know. Let's go. Let's take a minute to pause and what is this VARTech thing that people keep putting up here? What the heck is this?
I think that's somebody that's. I think somebody's
spammed.
We didn't spam. Yeah, hey, we got that popular, we're finally getting spammed. So yeah, I'm awesome. Not showing those comments. Yeah, we finally made it. We had a bunch of them. There's a lot of different people too. That's too bad. Let's see.
Man, we're getting botted, Zach. We've made it. I didn't realize I could get botted. This is like the first time we've been botted like this, right?
We finally made it. Whew. Man, we've had some big breakthroughs in the show this year. One of them is you stopped eating sandwiches. Now we're getting botted. Pretty soon you'll stop yawning. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, I usually don't yawn. It's just this show in particular. It's just like,
I know.
You know what put me in the yawning mood? You know what put me in the yawning mood? The wind footage. It was after the wind footage. The wind footage put me to sleep.
I get it. It's funny.
I was like, oh god. I'm like, I can really wait for this one.
Yep.
All right.
I get it.
But going back
by the way, I was really proud of that. I was like, that's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I was really proud to show you in the audience. Like it's something that's been on my mind, so I had to show off a little bit.
Well, and I'll say it is pretty impressive. It looked like you did it really well, and you didn't lose an oar. So that's
let me go back to what did happen though. At the bottom of Ramshorn, I didn't show it. I got in the Yeti, and I let go of my oar to grab something, and I lost an oar came out in the Yeti. Right, because I just wasn't thinking. And Brody's like, your oar's floating over there. And luckily he did, because it could have floated down. Because in the Yeti, you forget to hold the oars all the time too. Anyways, let's go on to this. Let's answer almost this question. How many prussics do you bring on multi-days? Because spare assumes you have a certain number already. How many total prussics do you bring on multi-days? Aaron, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
I don't bring more on a multi-day than I do on a single day. I bring the same number.
Me too.
And I think I was going to say it depends. Like certain people I work with, when everyone brings prussics and everyone's expected to bring prussics, I'm just bringing 2. If I'm bringing only prussics, I mean, maybe I'll bring 3 or 4. I don't know. I don't really use prussics ever. Maybe I'll bring an extra. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, you can always, if I need,
I think he's asking.
If I need to, I can tie a butterfly knot in the rope if I need to. There's other options.
I mean, you can use your flip line as a prussic. I mean, people don't know this.
That's
you
true
could
too.
tie a prussic,
yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
You could tie a prussic or a climb heist with other things than official prussics, right?
Yeah.
So there's other solutions, but not everybody knows that.
I usually just bring 2.
But the reason he's probably asking is because you're cut happy. You want to cut all your prussics up. So how many prussics do you need if you go cutting prussics left and right?
Well, I never even use a Z-drag, so I don't really even worry about it. My Z-drag's just for show.
That's elitist.
No, it's how I've repped a plenty. I just never use a Z-drag to get them off.
I
never use mechanical advantage.
Okay, I do. I think 4 is a good number to have in a kit because they can get used. It's not you need 2 to do a 3-to-1. But you might need 1 to do something else, and then you might break 1, or you might cut 1 like Aaron likes to do. So I think 4 is a great number. But in Mark Hurst's 4-3-2-1 system, it's 4 carabiners, 3 prussics, right? Or no, 4 carabiners, 3 pulleys, 2 prussics. So some people would say just bring 2 no spare. Prussics are light, they're cheap.
You don't need any more than 2. 2's fine. And guess what? If you cut the prussic, you can cut it so you can just retie it. Just cut one loop of it, and then.
No, you can't, because then the loop's too small. If you cut it, you have to tie another.
Well, you start off with long. You start off with long prussics.
No, if you have long prussics, it won't progress capture. If they're too long, it won't progress capture on its own.
Good point.
You don't want long prussics, or at least like what I've been doing is I have 1 short prussic, and then a couple longer ones. That's what I've been doing.
You're such a nerd. I can't believe you bring all this stuff. Just bring 2 prussics. That's all you need.
It's all you need. But again, prussics are cheap and they're light.
Hey, Zach, how many extra ore towers do you bring? How many extra ore towers did you bring on your last trip?
What kind of Boy Scout are you?
Zach, how many extra ore towers did you bring when you rode the wind?
None. But I had Mark Rivers paddle.
How many extra ore towers do you bring on commercial trips on the road?
1.
For how many boats?
Up to 5 boats, 6 boats, 7 boats. I don't know.
Do you really need
a rowing? We can have a rowing school with 15 boats.
And you bring 1 spare.
Yeah, I mean, how often does an ore tower break, Aaron?
Exactly, that's my point.
But when it breaks, you really need. When an ore tower does break, it's something.
I've never had an ore tower.
I've been there when it's happened. On the tee, flipping a boat. It's like they bash into things. I've replaced an ore tower a couple times on the tee.
I feel like on the Tuolumne every time, like even they get bashed, you just still row it down. You just have to adjust the clip, and then you just go down.
I mean, we were rowing ore towers that were bashed and fixed, that were not even straight forever, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Sometimes they get bashed, and in that case, it's kind of critical. What does this mean? Tube deflation is free.
Like deflation, like inflation, deflation, I guess. Yes, I think it's a bad joke, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it's a bad joke.
I'm not getting jokes for if it's a joke.
Is it Blue Puma a math teacher? Isn't he a math teacher? I think it's a math joke, but maybe I'm wrong here, Blue Puma. Maybe you aren't the math teacher.
Yeah, Sean, that's what we were talking about. Anchor slings can doubles prussics. It helps to know different, like not just the prussic hitch, but knowing the climb heist and some of the other like eccentric ones. Don't just get super stuck on the what.
This comment.
This one. Your clothesline is process cord. That's crazy. I mean, I'm literally some just prussic backs. All the prussic right now, we all have these high tech pre-stone prussics that are like perfect, and there's all kinds of high tech prussics. Your goal, you want it to be about half the diameter of your rope. So as long as you have something that's half the diameter, near like plus or minus whatever, 20-30%. So you just need any rope will pretty much work. And then it turns out, and it's worth practicing, that like webbing can work if you tie it right, or like those fancy flip lines that I get work really well. So there's definitely a lot of backup things. But why not have 4 Prussiks?
Why not have 6? Why not have 8?
That must be that movie, 7-minute abs.
Exactly.
We should review the 007 clip next time.
Yes.
So, it's pretty interesting actually. I'll have to go back and watch that.
That's a good point. So Steve brings a good point. Is you can just pull the shoelace up your shoes and use them as a Prusik if you need them.
You probably actually could, but I mean,
I think that snap. But you've got something. The point is, you have something around that you could make them from. You don't. I mean, you've got so much line on your trip. Like, I can't believe we're talking about Prusiks for so long.
I know 4. I think it's just why not have 4? That's my opinion. Not why not have 4. Just have 4. I don't know what you need them for, but why not?
I'm glad to hear that. I'm not gonna, Zach, next time we go, I'm not going to bring any.
You don't actually. You maybe don't need any. If you're handy, because you could use, like you mentioned, butterfly, right? Just use a butterfly to attach the pulley.
Yeah.
So if you can get your rope far, if you can get access to rope far enough away where you don't have to slide the pulley out more, yeah, just tie a butterfly on that rope for the pulley, and you don't need a brake.
Yeah. Yeah.
A brake is mainly a progress capture. So, like, I don't know why the brake is probably the most complicated part that people mess up on the 3-to-1. But you still get the mechanical advantage without the brake.
Yeah, that's it.
So you can still pull hard on it. So you're
almost better off when you set up. Don't set the brake right away. Don't do a brake initially. Just pull on a little bit, let it go loose, pull on a little bit, and just check it out. Don't even put the brake on initially, because that's just the brake's what really causes you problems if it comes off. That's the one that messes you up. Actually, you only need to cut the one Prusik too. You need to cut the other one.
I think I can't visualize in my head right now, but I think I agree with you. Like, you should use the 3-to-1. Maybe like there's 4 of you pulling, you almost had it. Bust out that 3-to-1, pull, it might just come off. It's when you're like, oh man, we're so close, but we're getting tired. Like you pull, and then it's almost gonna come off, but you guys get tired and have to stop. Then put the brake Prusik on and do some progress capture with the brake progress. And that will usually get it over the edge.
I wonder. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me make one statement before we go too far on. Aaron and I are not swiftwater rescue instructors. You should not listen to us about any of this. This is just a discussion we're having that we're inviting you guys in on. Please refer to an official swiftwater rescue instructor.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Is I wonder if you just only did Z-Drags without the brake Prusik, if you'd have a lot less injuries.
If you did the Z-Drag without, are there really that many injuries with Z-Drags? Is this a common problem?
I don't know.
I just don't think there's that more. I think some bad things happened.
There were like 2 within a matter of months, like that I was aware of at one point, and so I think that was just like, whoa. And those are people I know use them.
Is this the 20th century or 21st century?
21st century.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to understate. People do get hurt setting up Z-rigs and they causing problems. Things breaking and metal going back at them. I don't think it's the brake Prusik's fault. I think it's just like things just exploding. That's why I don't like cutting it, because things just happen under these heavy loads. Like metal fires back at people. And there's just a lot of people getting these high tension, super safety squirrel environments and don't really think through everything that's going on. I feel like if we always did 2-point anchors on the boats and always did a redirect, we should be double covered.
I do like the redirect. I'm a big fan of the redirect.
Getting the weeds. I'll tell you one thing though, Aaron, and we'll shut this down because we're just on crazy crazy side notes. I think the redirect is good. It requires one more pulley and requires a little bit more work. But this summer we got a little dynamometer, that was called, that measures the tension in the rope. And we pulled on the rope and like, okay, we can pull about, kilonewton. And then we set up like off of a tree, just like a change, just only change the direction. And it like dropped it. I was like, whoa, we only get like 0.7, 0.8 kilonewtons. And then we did a 3-to-1, and it was like, if I remember right, like 2.2 kilonewtons. So there's some loss of efficiency, right? Because assuming we're always pulling with 1 kilonewton. When he added the redirect, it went down to like 1.6.
Oh.
And I don't know why. I still can't figure this out.
Well, no, it's just more friction. It's more friction, and you're pulling.
It's not that much more friction. It's just a pulley. But I'll tell you one thing that I thought about this, and I want to do some tests, and I haven't done these tests yet, where if you're pulling, like, and then we did it later on with very static pulling. We did the whole thing again, but differently, and when there wasn't that loss. And I think what happens is when you're doing the kind of pulling that's like pull, 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 like that, it's really, the pulleys add a lot of inefficiency. If it's just a very, like, if a machine did the pull, it was like a very slow pull. It was done methodically. Like you just did it, you tested it in the lab, it would be pretty much the same. But the way that we like real life pull, which is like a yard, that adding that redirect pulley, I think adds a lot of inefficiency. And so we started by straight pulling 1 kilonewton, and then we set up a 3-to-1 of the redirect, and we were really only like 1.7. So like it's not a 3-to-1, it was a 1.7-to-1
Yeah, that's
and this is just
that's a really interesting point. Yeah,
I went and bought a second dynamometer. I'm gonna do some more tests this fall. I haven't done it yet. I guess it's winter now. But that redirect, it was amazing. I was really shocked by that. I think it may really reduce the forces you can put on the thing. And I thought it would be higher with the redirect, because when you pull on that rope and there's an angle between the rope you pull on and the system, I thought that makes it less efficient, and the redirect forces all the ropes to pull in line. You know what I'm saying? Because it comes right back to the redirect and over. So there's no angle between the line you're pulling on. I thought the redirect would be more efficient. So I was shocked to see it go down.
No, it's hard to describe, but it kind of makes sense to me particularly when you're doing this type of thing where you're springing it, because it goes like, I think that the stretching of the rope, and then it comes back. It's like the pulley kind of dampens that. I feel like that effect.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
So I meant to do some like real. I got a second dynamometer, and so I'm gonna do. I will go out soon. I'm gonna go do some more experiments in the field and just play with it. And we're trying to figure out like what actually is better. We know it's theoretically better because we can do physics, but like the way that we load things with dynamic ropes and people's footing and all that is super interesting. I don't. That's just.
Oh, did you test that last time? Did you test the vector pull on it to see how high
we did? It was amazing.
Really?
Sorry, I'm trying to think of something Andrew just said. Yeah, I did a Gear Garage about it. The whole thing is like, there's a Gear Garage episode about all this, that we videoed this whole thing. At some point, we loaded down the 3-to-1, put the brake on, and I'm like, hey, let's just grab with our hand and pull it from the middle and see what happens. It was like what you talked about. But we didn't put a rope to it. We just grabbed it with our hand because we were like at the warehouse. And yeah, we saw the forces go up. It's super cool.
Very cool.
But didn't pulling the force sideways in the static line add a lot of force to the pull? That's interesting to think about. I thought it would, like, how when you have, my brain can't wrap my brain around this. This is interesting. I'm gonna think of this more, Andrew.
Yeah, he's right. It did. And you just said that. You just agreed with it. You just said that that's true.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's because it's treating it as a vector pull, or how like when your anchor, when the angle increases.
Well, and I think you can. It's like pulling. It's like one of those. When you're trying to get extra line out of something, that you pull up and then pull it through, and then pull up, and then pull it through. Like with a cam strap, you know, you pull up on the cam strap, and then as it goes down, you pull the loose end of the cam strap, and it tightens real tight, and then you pull up. You do like a vector pull on your cam strap. You ever do a vector pull on your cam strap to tighten it, like on top of your coolers?
No, I have muscles, Aaron.
Well, those are smaller. That's what I do. I'll lift up and then I'll pull it tight. And I think there's a little bit of that going on too. That's an interesting point of when you're pulling directly in line, you're kind of pulling a little bit of an angle. So you pull it over, blows it out, and it comes in. And so it's doing a little bit like these steps. So yeah, that's an interesting point.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around some of this stuff right now, but I'll try to go out and do some more tests. You should come visit sometime, Aaron. We can go play with pulleys, and we do a live show in the field somewhere.
In June, I might be coming through. In June.
Okay. We can go out, set up a camera in the field, and just play with things. And people could say, "Do this," and then we'll run around and do it. It'd be fun to do a live show like that.
That would be hilarious.
With the dynamometers.
Yeah.
The problem is, I got these 2 dynamometers to do this with from this manufacturer called Rock Exotica. They're like $800 each. This is a big spend. They're really expensive. And I was like, you know what though? Like, it's worth it. We can do some super cool episodes for the show. We can do some cool experiments. People will love it. And we started taping a show, doing some stuff. And we got some really weird results. Like, this doesn't make any sense at all. And it turns out the dynamometers are not calibrated correctly. So if you put them in line, one would say 1 kilonewton and one would say 1.2 kilonewtons. Both brand new, same manufacturer, and they were off by like they did. We did all these experiments. We were playing with it, and then we're like, that is such a weird. We did not expect that at all. And finally, I was like, let's work backwards. And at the end, I was like, let's just put them in a row and pull a rope. And they were off by like 20%. And we calibrated them. Even calibrating them, they're still off by 20%. So I've been meaning to call the company and complain or figure this out, because it's hard to, because what I want to do is put a dynamometer on the boat end and put one on the pulling end. Say, what if we do this? What happens there? What if we do this? What happens there?
Yeah.
And so it's been pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's $1,600 interesting. That's how interested I'm in the answer to this. It's $1,600. It's that interesting.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Yeah,
I want to understand now.
Thank goodness, Zach, we're partners in this, because I would never spend money on anything like this. Like, I would lie.
I know you would.
I'm very happy to. Yeah, I would try to figure it out. I would do it with like little pieces of string and like a little like measuring gauge for like weighing your whatever your stuff to go traveling, your travel bag measurement bags. Those like little tape of scale things.
Yeah, but
you could actually. You go ahead.
Isn't this interesting? Like, wouldn't you really want to be there doing that? Like, hey, you pull this, you pull that. Like, just sitting around. Like, I want it. It's $1,600. It is $1,600 interesting. We spent our lives doing these things.
And you could put it. You could put it before the pulley too, so you could measure. You can measure. You could, like, the pulley that's going to the rope, not the pulley that makes it to 3-to-1. You could measure what you're putting in, what the pulley's feeling. You could do a lot of different things and see, like, oh, I'm pulling this much, the pulley's feeling this much, the boat is feeling. You could calculate a lot of different. Yeah, it would be really neat to see how, like.
And you could really do a lot with vector pulls. Like, vector pulls are always so like theoretical usually when they're taught. Like, it's such a theoretical thing, and like the physics is pretty straightforward, but there just aren't that many examples. I did hear of one finally of vector pulls working in the field, and I'm wondering if there's some practical reason the vector pulls don't work. And so this will give you the opportunity to play with a lot of different things with vector pulls and be like, oh, that's, it actually doesn't do what we thought it would do. It's not as powerful, or maybe like, yeah, that's actually crazy powerful. And 3-to-1s are actually 1.7-to-1. So we should just vector pull always, or whatever, tube deflation. So it'd be interesting to get like the practical in the, like, get away from the theoretical.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's basically, I feel like it's a meshing of the two, the practical and the theoretical coming together. And we haven't had any comments in a while, so we must be really boring everyone.
We're just honest. We're just talking about the stupid rant. Nobody cares. Should we shut this one down?
Yeah, I think so. That'd be great. Yeah. Oh, I'm supposed to shut it down, aren't I? If you haven't hit that like button, please hit the like button. Yes, it's my role. It's not like this is our first rodeo. You guys, thanks for all your comments. Appreciate it. Zach, thanks for taking time away from your America Outdoors conference to meet up. Great footage this week. If you guys have any footage you want to review, please send it. I don't need to fall asleep to more wind footage as we get into wind season. So
you literally yawned.
Oh, I yawned more than once. I yawned like 5 or 6 times, Zach. You can send any footage to me, Aaron, at riversanoceans.com. And then is there other stuff we're supposed to do? Next week we'll be back again, 2 p.m. Friday. I feel like I'm forgetting about something else new that we're doing now, Zach.
Don't forget to join and be a member.
Oh yeah, become a member. Yeah. And then and of course subscribe to Zach's channel so he can be the worldwide leader in rafting for YouTube. So yeah, thanks, Zach. This was a fun show.
That's not an important. Hold on, that's not an important thing. I have one more thing, and then we'll go.
Okay.
We should do a contest next week for our viewers, and the winner gets one of our new Gear Garage coffee mugs, or maybe something else that's actually useful. So let's think about this week, and we'll try to have a contest next week.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. Contest next week for a Gear Garage mug, or maybe something better.
Maybe something actually useful,
like a knife.
Oh man, I really wanted to give the knives away, but I'm recognizing I probably shouldn't. I now have a pretty awesome knife collection. Probably shouldn't get rid of those.
You gotta put them up on the wall. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we gotta go.
I'm gonna put them in a bag and pull them out for our classes and say, "Hey, try your knife out. Now try these out and see if you like one better." It's a great chance for like people in our courses to hands-on try things out on their own and just get like what suits their, them personally. So all right, let's shut this down. Bye everyone.
Yeah, see you guys. Have a good